Hey everybody, last week of October. Can you believe it? Time has gone by just so fast. Speaking about time, I just want to give a shout out to Haven Cottage Investments. Wow, who could have guessed that I was going to do a little plug? Great way to start your investment in terms of property. If you want to rent a home, if you want to buy a home, if you're looking for people to rent your home, anything and everything revolving around Haven Cottage Investments, definitely need to give them a chance. All right, everything you need to know to get in contact with them, all in the description down below. All right, property is important, all right, especially the young people out there, or even the middle old people out there, or even the old people out there. You're 112. Well, it's never too late to get into the property game. Anyways, mention the podcast, and you will get half off the commission rate. That is, again, Haven Cottage Investments. Please check them out. And now back to your regular channeled programming. One more podcast. What was that, Blake? You people?
Don't start this off like that.
Blake is racist. I'm just kidding. All right, everybody, welcome back to the one more movie review. I believe this is episode 3. Captain Underpants just dropped today. Actually, a really good conversation we had. It was really beautiful. Today, I have with me on my left...
Do you want me to speak?
Yes, it's always, literally, come on. You've been on this show enough where I just say on my left, and then you say...
Blake.
Oh, it's Blake! And then to my corner, I have...
Julian.
You see, he knows how to fucking do this shit. All right, anyways. This week, we watched The Departed. It is a movie... You know, Blake, give us a rundown. What's the tip-top highlights of... You're describing The Departed.
This is Martin Scorsese's 2006 crime thriller, The Departed.
Real quick, notice how this is, again, pre-2008, 2009, around that time period where I said movies start to go to crap, so we're still in the green zone. Continue.
This was a remake of the 2002 Hong Kong film. I don't remember what it's called, but it is a remake of a 2002 Hong Kong film.
It's probably called The Departed.
Maybe. Sure.
The Hong Kong.
And it stars Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Alec Baldwin, Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Mackie, Martin Sheen, and
real quick, who was DiCaprio's cousin? Who was he?
Because I know he's in a lot of stuff.
He looks very familiar.
I know, and I feel like crap not knowing this.
Ugh. Blake feels like crap.
I'm already on IMDb.
All right, well, Blake is looking that up. So it's a movie pretty much about a rat in the police force, a rat in the crime syndicate, and they don't know of each other's existence, and they're trying to find each other.
Kevin Corrigan.
I don't know what else he's from. It's just a name. But anyways, it's a really awesome movie. Look at me. I'm already saying that. It's giving it praise already. But it's a movie that is kind of focused on the suspense, sort of. Not a lot of mystery to it. Not a lot of like you're not trying to guess it. It's just there's I feel like for the most part, Blake, if you agree with me and Julian, for the most part they're just telling a story, and there's not like huge twists. I mean, there are some like oh, this is a thing now, but like there's no way that you could have ever called it. You know, right. I mean, you maybe if you're a conspiracy theorist, maybe you could have called it, but for the most part, it's not like Usual Suspects where dun dun dun, there's a pivotal point. Even towards the end of the movie, the scene that you thought would be like, you know, the end all scene was kind of very what is it?
We're gonna be discussing spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna do full discussion. Anticlimactic, yes. Yeah. But we'll get
elevator scene or
no.
Mark Wahlberg.
No. With Costello.
Very end. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was anticlimactic, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But anyways. Yeah. So I think before we jump into it, we give our just an overall score of what we think it is. I'm going to give it probably a solid 42 out of 50. Blake?
Oh, well, it's one of my favorite movies, so I'm going to go 9.8 out of 10.
Nice. Julian?
I'm bad with numbers, but I'll go at 40s.
40s? All right. 40s out of 50s. That's good. Julian is the first person is the first time watching this movie. I've seen it. I think this is my second or third time seeing it. And then Blake, you've seen this one time, right?
Yeah,
your favorite
just
movie.
one time.
Just this first time. No. How many times have you seen this movie, Blake?
Oh, I lost count.
Oh, okay, sure. Anyways, we're gonna jump into it. Spoilers ahead. We're gonna be kind of discussing, as usual, the plot, the narrative, the themes and the imagery and stuff like that. Something Blake pointed out. We'll go into it in a little bit. Just the direction that Martin Scorsese took this movie. Film, project, legacy, whatever you want to call it. Masterpiece, there you go. And just kind of get into it and kind of what we thought. So first, I guess we'll really start with the movie. I feel like as we're writing, or I took notes going through, and which was actually really kind of unusual for me. It was interesting to point at facts and say, oh, this is something that you may not normally see in a traditional film. I'm going to write this down and we can talk about it. So we're just going to start from the very beginning of the movie, and then as I work my points through, Blake, if you have anything, Julian, if you have anything to comment or add, definitely throw that in. So the very beginning, I wasn't sure if this was for the quote-unquote time-lapse or to give a first understanding and a kind of first impression of Jack Nicholson's character. But if you noticed, I noticed that his face was always in the shadows.
Yeah.
At the very beginning and I don't know if it was just because he's old and they were just, needed him to kind of look young. So they're using that sort of as a lighting effect to make him look younger. But then, at a point he walks out in front and he's got, the solid colored hair and stuff like that. But I definitely, at first impression, it was, you immediately get a sense of this guy as a shady guy.
Yeah. I think if anything, it was symbolism for what was going on back in that time, back in the Boston, probably in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
You got a sense of how the city was pretty much in shambles, and it gave way to a big, rise in crime. And before that, they kind of had to stay in the shadows. And once all of that stuff was going on in the 70s, crime started to go up, and they could, kind of branch out as a crime boss of the major city, and they didn't have to hide really that much anymore. And I thought that was great symbolism. And it was also symbolism for Matt Damon's character as a young boy who he's grew up knowing about Costello, didn't really function anything about it. And then it shows kind of a montage of him working with him. And then when Costello shows his face out of the shadows, it was kind of maybe a recollection for little Colin Sullivan, like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. Yeah. It was kind of like a face comes out of the shadow, like, okay, this is now what I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I in other movies I haven't really noted, because to really have a slight emphasis on kind of the bad guy, like immediately from the get-go, from the very first scene, and he's like telling people, whatever, he's going to beat the fuck out of people, and he's obviously this crime boss, and then gives this little kid, hey, you like magazines, you like comics, you like wah wah wah, whatever, and gives him all this. You kind of see this dynamic growing into it. So, I will say the very first time I watched this, when we fast forward now to everyone's all adults, I wouldn't say it was difficult for me, but it took me a second to pick up that like Matt Damon was the rat. Like I don't know, for some reason. It makes sense, obviously, because you grew up, you was raised and stuff like that with him, but I don't know, it was weird for me. Julian, were you able to pick up immediately that Matt Damon was the rat?
Yeah, like when he was like just giving like the crime boss guy giving him random stuff and just starts following him through. He's like with the guy like being mentored, like, oh, so I guess he's getting him real early then, type thing.
Okay, all right,
keep him loyal.
That's how most gangs are.
Yeah,
that's true.
Start them early.
Yeah,
this one was just more organized, and that allowed Colin to infiltrate at such a high level.
One other thing that I noticed is that they definitely was a heavy influence of comedy in the dialogue. It was a very serious moments and very dramatic. Whether it's a crime scene or a shootout or just one of the sergeants is just fucking going off on whoever. But they definitely included a lot of just like, you suck dick jokes and like you're a fucking idiot jokes and stuff like that. And so, I don't know. for some movies, I think it's forceful when you notice the comedy. It's like, oh, okay, haha, Avengers movie. I get that you're trying to be like this cool, hip, funny movie that like is also action packed. But I think it really worked with The Departed specifically, just because these are tough, earth to the or salt of the earth cops that they're just trying to do their job, and so I guess to alleviate the stress of the day-to-day life, they're gonna crack jokes and stuff like that. But
that's how cops talk to each other.
Well, I get that, but I guess really the point is that it didn't feel forced. I thought
it was organic,
and I don't know if it was just because of the Boston accents or whatever it is that it just kind of flowed well. But when Marky Mark's like yelling at DiCaprio in the very first scene that they meet, and he's like,
it's genius.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why are you a fucking cop? You're not a fucking cop. Fuck, your family's all fucked up. Blah 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 blah. And I was just like, okay, I get. I love. By the way, Marky Mark is my favorite character.
He was born to play that role.
He really was
born to play that role.
He was very excellent in that role. So, did Julian, for you, did the comedy, did it land well for you, or because I know you have a particular taste and what you find enjoyable / funny. So
I think it fit the atmosphere, but I didn't personally find it funny.
But it didn't really take you out of it. It was just
it felt immersive.
Okay,
like when they were making jokes about I spent all night fucking digging that guy out in the 3 foot of mud.
That one actually was pretty fun.
Yeah,
that one was.
Okay. All right. So yeah, what's with Boston? Like, I feel like
Boston.
The Good Will Hunting, this one, and I'm sure there's other movies that are just all taking place in Boston. Like, do you know if that is just a theme that like Boston's the hip '90s, early 2000s scene for?
I think that's it. Boston gives birth to a lot of kooky, sometimes hardcore characters.
That's true.
One of another great movie that Mark Wahlberg is in is called The Fighter,
and
it's about this Boston boxer who rises up to be the world champ. I don't know. Boston just it's given birth to a lot of amazing stories, and the atmosphere of it, specifically Southie. I've never been there, and I don't plan on it, but.
Yeah, but you saying Southie like you're from Southie.
Well, what are you supposed to call it?
I don't know. What is there? Is that not the abbreviated term of something?
South Boston.
South Boston. Yeah, say about South Boston.
Okay, South Boston.
There you go. You ain't from Southie.
You're right. I'm not. But I don't know. I think that atmosphere is. I don't know. There's something
about Boston.
There's something organic to it. I think if you were to choose a different city, it wouldn't work. Like New York has been done before. The Bronx has been done before.
Yeah.
L.A. you have
Chicago.
Chicago's way been done before.
Okay,
like it's like
I think Boston kind of had its rise in the '90s, where Boston's was, hey, we're this city. You know, we have shit going on here too. I guess
one thing, and Julian, before I say, were you going to say something?
I guess I felt like it was a good way to get close to New York without doing New York again.
Well,
That's true.
Most of it was filmed in New York because they had a 15% tax, and it was lower than what Massachusetts would have charged to make the movie.
Sure.
And so most of it was filmed in New York.
But I think that's still Julian's point's still valid. Is you're doing
for the
this,
atmosphere.
You get the grandiose city, but it's more homey, I guess, kind of. But no, okay. So, and again, I'm going to reference Good Will Hunting. There was a huge influence of just like the Irish, and just in both movies, they at least mentioned / joked about / talked about. I mean, even the soundtrack, there was that Irish
shipping off to Boston.
There you go, yeah. So
Dropkick Murphys.
So I don't know. Is that just you? I think it's cool. I don't know. I mean, again, those are the two movies that come to mind when I'm thinking like Boston, Irish, blah blah blah.
I think it's an identity thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
People from Boston are very proud that they're from Boston, and specifically Irish people that are from Boston are very proud that they're Irish and from Boston. And that was definitely important, at least important to some of the subplots that were in The Departed.
That's
and
true.
Good Will Hunting.
That's true.
I think Ben Affleck's character in Good Will Hunting and Matt Damon's character in The Departed both said, "I'm Irish. I'll fucking deal with things for the rest of my life." Whatever.
Yeah. Did you relate to that, Blake? Is that did you have a calling where you like,
I need to go to Southie?
Yes, me, bitch. Yes, that's me.
Not surface level, I guess.
Sure. I mean, like, what have you been? What's the overall theme of Blake on the podcast? It's hey, I put up with my shit, but I'm, put my nose to the grind and get my work done. Like, what is it? You'll be happy with just a scotch or something, and
Okay, yeah.
So it just you were born to be Matt Damon.
I guess so.
You could have been perfect.
I could
for
have
that
been.
role.
Yep.
God, why weren't you born way earlier and the perfect age?
I was 10 when this movie came out.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
I don't know if that would have flown very well.
The 10-year-old in The Departed. Hey, we can remake it and do The Departed for kids, right? Is that a thing? I don't know.
How?
I mean, okay. Well, so that
do a school analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every anime has done.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
But no. Okay, so then that brings up a question. Not on the list. I just thought of it because I'm so smart and intellectual. And I'm just kidding. Do you think this would have been more impactful or less impactful with like the heavy like? Because obviously there's a certain extent if you show the violence and you show the blood and you show the guns and the shootouts and the really like the fuck you verbal really heavy language. Do you think it would have been as impactful if there was less of that? Like it was. Obviously, you can reference it. If you're a good storyteller and if you're a good director, you can definitely have the sense of despair, like when the captain got thrown off the building. I mean, you saw a fucking dead body with just blood, and you like sprayed on DiCaprio, and like you saw it on his clothes and stuff like that. So, do you think kind of the nuances like that? Do you think it would have been as impactful if you didn't have that, or
no? Because that was it helped with the pure shock of every situation, especially specifically that one.
Oh, yeah.
It allowed DiCaprio to kind of set in to motion the emotional impact and paranoia that just went down, just seeing his captain fall with his blood sprayed on his shirt and his jacket and his pants. That I feel like if he had just fallen and the guys would have walked downstairs and said, hey, get in the van or whatever.
Yeah.
You needed DiCaprio to have his only way out, his only way to safety, that blood on his hand and checking his pulse. That was, to me, that was very powerful and very important to DiCaprio's character development.
Okay, so similar scenes like that where maybe because one thing, and I don't know, and I have no problem with it, and I have no issue with it, but I know some people when it's like overly excessive on the shooting and the blood and the whatever, and sure you can have like those moments where you're having this kind of heart to heart, or not necessarily heart to heart, it'd be like dead heart to alive heart, but just have less blood, like just and stuff like that. Do you?
That's been a debate between directors, and I love Tarantino. He did an interview where it was right after Kill Bill Volume 1 came out, and at the end of, I don't know if anybody's here seen Kill Bill Volume 1. You have. So at the end, when she's fighting like the how many samurai? The 70?
88, I think it was.
The 88.
I think it was 88.
Okay, well the 88 samurai or whatever, and the production company or the ratings company made him do it in black and white because if he had shown it in color, it would have been an NR rating. He wouldn't have gotten away with rated R.
Interesting.
And he went on this one, I don't know, hot-headed woman's talk show or whatever.
Rosie O'Donnell?
And, no, it was another one. But and she was like, "Well, why do you put so much violence in a movie?" And he was like, "Because it's fun. As a director, that's what we do. We try to make art or whatever. It's the same thing with music that uses vulgar language and vulgar this and imagery or whatever in their songs. It's the same thing. It's an art form, and if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it." Having said that, though, I understand there are some instances where it just takes it too far.
Do you think this movie took it too far?
No.
Okay.
No, I think, I agree. I think it was pretty well paced in this one.
Okay.
Like enough to give a good bit of effect when it was due.
Mm-hmm.
When
like
it was necessary.
I'm trying to think of a situation where it...
God, Julian, dropping over water bottles.
It was closed.
Where people may have thought that it was excessive, and I...
What, this movie or the Kill Bill?
This movie.
Oh.
And I...
Well, I mean, you have a movie that has
compared
dying
to every other Martin Scorsese movie, this movie was pretty tame.
Oh, really? Okay.
In terms of blood, like if you watch Goodfellas,
that's
Silence,
very true. You didn't see a guy get beat to death with a baseball bat,
right? And they shot him in the car while he was still breathing. Like there's a lot of stuff. Or Casino, that was Casino, where Joe Pesci got hit with a baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, wasn't that Goodfellas?
No,
I thought like the beginning scene they were beating the crap out of the guy with like.
No, Goodfellas was in the very first scene. They're driving in the
Right, it's at night, and
Right.
they have a dead or a body in the trunk, right?
Right. No, Joe Pesci goes and they open the trunk, and Joe Pesci stabs the guy like 30
Oh,
times
okay.
with a knife,
Stabs,
and then
sorry.
Robert De Niro
Shoots him. Right. Okay.
and then that's when it's like, ever since
Okay,
I
yeah.
could remember, I wanted to be a gangster. Bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum, bum. And but Casino was
Bum 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Okay,
imagine
no.
Joe Pesci on Law and Order.
But okay, so
Yeah, this was pretty tame in terms of showing a lot of graphic stuff for a Martin Scorsese movie.
Okay. Moving on to the next thing. At least at the very beginning when they were setting up the characters and the different dynamics that every character had, it was always like, "Hey, I knew your father. Hey, I knew your cousin. Are you gonna stop doing coke deals with your cousin?" Like, there's a huge emphasis on the family and that aspect of family, and I kind of it's for me specifically. It gets difficult because it's like, okay, I got to remember, all right, you're introducing all these new characters to me, and now you're introducing these gang members who are referencing the characters' families. And so to me, I think the first time it was a little confusing to like, okay, Leonardo DiCaprio is at this lady's house, so she must be the aunt because his cousin's there. And
Well,
so
he said Aunt Kathy when.
I didn't catch that. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, I'm just a horrible listener. But it's still that kind of thing. And then
there's a lot of, and I think that goes back to what we were saying about Boston and
oh, you think that's
South
also
Boston
Yeah.
specifically.
Like,
It's
everyone's
kinda
all
like the
tied up.
slum of Boston, and once you're in, you don't leave. Remember
Right.
that conversation that Matt Damon was having with Via Farmiga, his wife in the movie. I forgot what her name was, Madeline. And he was saying, "You can get out, I can't."
Yeah.
They were on the bed.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
That's kind of what he was talking.
Oh,
That's
is that
kind
what
of
he
what we're
meant?
talking about. Where
I was
once
wondering
you're
about
in it,
that.
you can't leave,
right.
or it's very difficult to leave. And
Okay,
same thing in Good Will Hunting.
So that's very true. So then when DiCaprio's mom, when she died, who was that guy?
That was her brother.
The brother. Okay, all right. So and he was just in it for the money or whatever.
Yeah, he was there to
BS.
look like a nice brother,
quote unquote
being
nice brother.
right.
Okay. Yeah. So I like when they do that. There are some instances where, and I forgive me if I misremember this, but I think Goodfellas had a big family, and
yeah.
I mean, obviously
Like,
you're gonna
there's
have that
a
with
scene
the
at
mafia and
there's
stuff.
The amazing scene where Martin Scorsese does the one take or one loop where he goes to the Cabana Club restaurant and he introduces everybody. Or when at the wedding when she met, or at the wedding where Ray Liotta's or Henry's wife met like all the Paulies and all the Vinnies or whatever. I guess that's a very familial thing, especially in the crime business, I guess.
That's true, I guess, because I mean, what if you don't have family, who do you have? I guess
Who
so.
can you trust?
That's true. Okay, one thing I'd noticed, and I wasn't sure if it's just because nowadays with a lot of movies, when someone punches someone, you hear like the sound effect, like yeah, exactly, like it's an over, like, oh, this guy is being punched because I can hear the sound effect, not necessarily of the visual, obviously of the visual, but the sound effect. This movie didn't have that. It was the punches were quiet. It was just like if someone was getting beat up, it was just quiet off to the side. Do you think he had a point for that, or was it just kind of like this was early 2000s?
It's realism. That's what he's going for in his movies. I think in Martin Scorsese's earlier works and most directors' earlier works, there wasn't a lot of sound effects that were used. Sound editing didn't really come a long way until now, where there's one video I saw where it actually showed somebody like making sounds for a movie as it was going. You've seen that.
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
I think back in the day they just used the same regular sounds because it was more about the story and they weren't going for realism as much.
I mean, Foley's been around for a while, but Foley's been around for a long time.
You have to elaborate on what's Foley.
That's basically what they do when they're making all this sense. So it's mostly for animation.
Okay,
but it's been used in live action film, just like that usage and creation of sound effects, specific ones that get the point across really easily.
So then,
I
do you
think
think
they would have distracted from the story though? Like if they had the psh, psh, psh,
Yeah.
like whenever DiCaprio hit the guy that was going for his cigarettes, you heard the clink of the gun up against his teeth.
Yeah,
And I think that if you just heard a 1960s Batman, you know. It
the one thing, or the when I wrote it was originally when they were at the bar and DiCaprio punches that guy, and then Mr. Frenchie beats the crap out of that guy, and you don't hear anything. Yeah, you just kind of hear maybe faint, just very faint punches. And me being like, oh, what could it mean? Blah blah blah. I always thought like they're not drawing emphasis to the crime because that
this is just normal.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is. So because they're not trying to shock you. Oh my gosh, you got punched or whatever it is. Right. It's purely this is what happens. This guy's gonna get punched, and that's
just the way it is.
That's standard, exactly.
Yeah.
So
there was like only really one scene that stuck out to me because of that. Like there's I guess because this year is like what you're saying about it not being the center of it being realistic is probably why it didn't really stick out to me. Mm-hmm. It was like it was in the FBI precinct where they were like where
when Alec Baldwin punched the guy.
Like it was like
fucked up the cameras.
Yeah, like well, actually, no, it was before that. Actually, like there was one scene like he was just wailing on him like crazy, like in the center of the shot or whatever, the center focus of the whole thing, and you couldn't hear anything. It was just stuck out because normally that was like that's one time when I was expecting to hear like those really loud.
Yeah.
Probably because it was like it was the center focus of the whole thing.
Okay.
It was like the position to stand out. But they still had it act like it was in the background. It just had a weird disconnect to me.
Oh, okay. So that was... Well, no, yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, is there supposed to be something here?
Right, like, kind of the emphasis, the blows, and like, you know, this guy really fucked up, and now Alec Baldwin's really mad, so... all right.
He fucked up, dude.
He did fucked up.
He didn't do his job.
So moving forward, I'm Not a Cop scene. That was a really good scene. I really liked that. Nice. I didn't cringe as much because I remember the first time. I guess I wasn't really because Leonardo DiCaprio fucked up his hand, and now he's in this bar with Jack Nicholson, and he's like, "Are you a cop?" And he's like, "No, I'm not a fucking cop." And he gets out his boot and just starts whamming on his like broken hand. I remember the very first time I watched that, I was like cringing inside. I was just like, "Oh, I feel the bones are crunching. Oh, I don't like that. Ooh." Yeah. But now I was just like, "Wow, fucking Jack Nicholson's an insane motherfucker. He's batshit crazy." One thing I did notice, or not notice, but honestly, because you told me earlier, I was like trying to imagine Kevin Spacey as
you
Jack.
Couldn't, right?
Well,
I couldn't.
Part of me,
I can't.
Part of me. Okay, yes, Jack Nicholson has a very unique style, and he creates Costello as a very twisted person.
Yeah,
but I really would have liked to see Kevin Spacey just be power hungry, like because there's some scenes where, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but there are some scenes where it's just like, okay, is this like a Jack Nicholson scene, or this was a Martin Scorsese, and then Jack Nicholson's just being Jack Nicholson, or like specific, like we'll get to it in a little bit, but we'll bring that up. But yeah, Julian, how would you feel about after that I'm Not a Cop scene where he was beaten? He opens up the cast and he's just beaten on his arm.
Like I had a few moments to repair because like once it starts showing, he's like starts showing he has the cast like they're gonna check the cast. This is gonna hurt.
You see, I didn't even the first time going through. I didn't expect that
because that's like a good place to hide something.
You're right.
They're gonna check it.
Exactly.
They don't care if it's gonna hurt.
Exactly. It was intense. I think that was kind of the moment where you're just like, all right, it's game time. It's serious because there's you can beat people up and it's like all talk and whatever. But like when legitimately you're like, okay, here's where the crime starts. We can't risk anything. So. Yeah, I don't know.
That was a wake up call.
I was like, okay, the movie started. All right, get the popcorn. Yep. Here it is. Okay, smoking in movies. I've noticed and I forget at what time, but obviously very prevalent. And then like when movies first started, up until about probably the mid 2000s era. Then there was for a short period of time where it was like a complete and total flip where they're like, oh, we can't promote smoking in movies. People can't smoke, blah, 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 blah. But now I'm starting to see movies and TV shows bring back smoking. Mm-hmm. Like, and so does that put you off? Is that a put off in when they're smoking or whatever? Anything like that, you guys?
Like at this point, it's more if they're using it to help characterize. Whereas before, it seemed like it was just a normal thing that everyone did.
That's
whereas
true.
now it's more directed towards this is like you're wanting to portray a certain type of profile,
right,
or type of characterization. Like
okay, no, yeah, that's really. I actually never thought. So like when at least nowadays, when someone's smoking, it's it means something.
Yeah, it's to signify.
That's true. Because there were a lot of people smoking. I mean, there's still a lot of people smoking now, but
yeah,
that's true. Yeah, because back in Good Will Hunting, fucking Matt Damon just smokes. Yeah, just it.
That's what you did
exactly. So I think that's interesting how they've kind of flipped it. Now it's like when you're smoking, it's it means something. Not everyone does it, and so when you do, it pushes a message.
Yeah, which is just kind of a reflection of the culture, because like at that time when like it dropped out, movies was probably like around the time when there was a big a lot of focus and big campaign on smoking is bad for you, stop doing it.
Yeah.
And now it's more if you see someone smoking, you kind of silently judge them for it type thing.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is being reflected in the media.
Yeah, fuck the media, right? Blake, you don't care if people smoke or not?
No.
What if people started dipping? What if they're just like, I've never seen a movie where someone dips, I don't think. I mean, other than like the old country western.
We'll review some baseball movies, or one baseball movie in particular.
Is it the 42 Jackie Robinson movie?
No, not that one.
Is it the Shaquille O'Neal movie?
Shaquille O'Neal was in a baseball movie?
Yes.
No, it's called Moneyball, written by
I know
Aaron Sorkin
Moneyball
with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill.
I didn't see that one, but I know
that
of it.
or No Country for Old Men. You'll see it in that one when we watch it.
Two in No Country and Old Men.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I need to see that one.
This is a really good movie.
It's
I don't remember. It was
my other favorite movie.
I feel like that one was maybe 3 or 4 years ago since I saw it, so it's been a while.
We watched it together.
I know.
Yeah.
That was like 3 or 4 years ago. So
God dang.
yeah, right. Time flies. Okay, so you brought up a point off podcast. Blake thinks Matt Damon is gay, a hardcore homosexual.
In the movie.
Homosexual, both in the movie and in real life.
You heard it here, folks.
Right here, we're breaking news. So what was the point of the relationship between Matt Damon and the therapist? Because
remember what Alec Baldwin said when they were playing golf?
Well, no, yeah, okay, yes, that everyone likes or trusts a married guy or whatever, or everyone likes that. But I mean, even before he said that, they were still kind of a thing. Like Matt Damon was chasing after this girl.
Right.
Was it?
It was strictly for cover.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
thought it was just part of his personality. I thought he was just a womanizer type.
That's true.
Like he came off as very charismatic.
Oh yeah,
through
for
most
sure.
of it.
For sure, he was a very charismatic, and so that's.
I think that's the character that he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you watch him in any other social setting, especially when he was around Frank, he was very much not in control.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
He was very. Jesus Christ, can't talk. He was the inferior in every other situation except when he was around. Inferior officers, or when he was around her.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that whenever she said, when she was talking about how he couldn't get it up in bed or whatever.
You see, that's why I thought
he didn't want to hear any of it, so he said, "I got to get to work," and he left.
Right.
That's who Colin is.
Mm-hmm.
He is a rat at heart too.
That's true.
He tries to leave any situation that doesn't give him the leg up, unless it's with Frank.
You see,
that's a real nice touch.
It is, but originally I thought it was more of trying, because he's this badass guy who he seems to always have something together. Whether shit was going down and Frank was like, "You have to do this, blah blah blah, get the tails off of us, blah blah blah, you gotta whatever." Matt Damon always had a plan, and he was always able to come back and say, "Okay, I got this." And so my original interpretation of the relationship was, it's kind of outside of his persona, and specifically when they first start off the relationship with, it's okay, it happens to every guy. I thought that was kind of giving us a glimpse of like, well, he's a weak man. Okay, I'm not going to say that not getting it up is weak, but he's not
as hot shot.
Exactly. He's a cracked character, and this was kind of giving a glimpse. And so I thought the relationship was him trying to either, I don't know, maybe make himself full rounded, and so he was chasing after this girl because I don't know if she was easy or whatever, or to him at least. Apparently, yeah, I know. How many times did they talk before they went out on a date? Literally,
like it was like 30 seconds in an elevator. Yeah,
it
was an elevator pitch.
I really was an elevator pitch. That is amazing. Oh my gosh! You see, that's how you get women. It's just a 30-second elevator pitch. But no, okay, so that makes sense. I like what you were saying about the therapist.
Remember when he was in the theater and they were showing that porn flick?
Yeah.
How uncomfortable he looked.
Oh, see, I didn't even notice that.
That was
because he was
at the
gay.
very beginning after the rugby game where he said "fucking queers" and the whole time.
That's true.
That just came out of nowhere. I was just kind of like,
that's another sign.
Yeah,
that's true.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything more.
Any point signs to Matt Damon's gay
in the movie? Yeah.
Well, and even then, I really liked that it was so low key about it. Like that was totally not the focus at all. It was just a thing that I bet Martin Scorsese was like, hey, if you notice it, cool. If you don't, yeah, whatever.
Well, it helped with the subplot between the love triangle between Billy, Colin, and Madeline.
Right.
I think.
DiCaprio,
she wasn't getting what she wanted out of Colin, but he was stable and he had a job and whatnot. And so she found Bill, or Bill found her, I guess. And that's why it was so hard for her to say, we can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think the father is?
Bill.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but that's interesting. I don't know. Then why did she confront Matt Damon about it and not bring it up to? Well, I guess I don't know. They didn't really have a way to talk to each other.
Remember, she said, "I have something to tell you," and he said, "Wait 2 weeks."
Oh. That makes sense. Okay. Wait, so why did he wait 2 weeks? Oh, he wanted to know
She
if it was
made
real.
her choice.
Oh, I thought he was waiting for
Her
the.
choice was Colin. Her choice was
Oh!
I thought he was waiting for the other guy to come back who was on like paid leave because he didn't trust.
Yeah.
What's
That was
face.
the wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
After.
right. That's why he said it. But remember,
Okay.
she was going to
She
tell
still
him
had
something,
to
and he
make the
said,
choice.
"Wait 2 weeks." That's what she was going to tell him.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. I didn't. Over my head. I was not paying attention at all. Okay, so then the therapist, it was a nice subplot. I think that was a good. It wasn't too overly done, and there was no ewy gooey too much.
I
mean,
love her as an actress. She was awesome.
I don't know who she is in other works, but she was a pretty solid actress.
She got nominated for an Oscar for Up in the Air. It was a movie that she did with George Clooney. I think in
cool.
like 2011 or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, I recognize the name, but I don't know exactly where I've seen her from.
Yeah.
I don't know either. Okay, the time lapse of a year. That whenever he was undercover and they were doing stuff, I thought that was such a shock with the first time, and even like not paying attention, and then they bring it up. I'm like, oh shit, it's been a whole fucking year.
Yeah, the first one tripped me up, but I started to catch on pretty quickly.
It's to show the grind.
Yeah,
It just keeps
daily
going.
Paranoia. That's why they showed him doing OxyContin, and then they would show him
because
doing a crime. Then they would show him back at his apartment, and then that's when the scene where he's with Captain
Baldwin and Marky Mark.
Martin Sheen and Marky Mark, where he says, "It's been a fucking year of this. I'm losing my head," or whatever.
Yeah. See, that makes more sense because originally, and one thing, and I wasn't sure if this was just kind of they were holding off because originally, wasn't it whenever the DiCaprio got denounced as a cop or whatever and went to jail? After he got out of jail, wasn't he immediately supposed to see the therapist, or is that? Because it waited
a court order shrink or whatever.
Exactly, but that was her though. She right. So, but that was a little later in the movie, and it was kind of like he was already out. He was already doing things, but then they bring her in when it's convenient.
That was immediately after where he talked to Marky Mark and Martin Sheen, and he went into the therapist's office.
Yeah,
and had that whole thing. And
right.
I think. Yeah, because it showed him taking all of his OxyContin, and then he finds this therapist, and he's going to get more pills.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess a year after he found that shrink or whatever. I don't know how the justice system works with that.
All right. No, I mean that makes sense. Because he you're right. He did have the drugs, and since he was tapped out, then that makes sense. Okay. I guess they were just the point was to have that initial not conflict, but that initial connection between DiCaprio and the therapist, and then after that whole fucking scene of him yelling and bullshit,
you want to grab
a cup of coffee? And she's just like, okay.
But do you get why because he that shows that he obviously liked her going in, and he knew that if he got her to transfer his file, it wouldn't be a violation of blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist.
Sure, and then
so that's why he's a dick to her.
Walking around the system. Trying to think. Okay, what was the significance of the Coke scene with that where he was at the play or whatever, and then he had the prostitute?
Jack Nicholson actually wanted to do the opera scene.
Okay,
he kind of threw that into the mix.
Okay, and that was just
shows
this character building, I guess, or
it just shows his power. He
it's
can
just
go
to show
out
him
to
as
an
a
opera.
fucked up.
He can get two girls without screw Carmen. These are his two girls, and that kind of showed a shift in. He kind of started to go a little bit more crazy after that too. And I don't know. I may have something. If I look up what that opera was, it may have something to do with
That's
probably,
true.
It probably did. Yeah.
I don't know.
So okay, so the scene was purely just to show how fucking insane.
This is Frank Costello now.
Okay, this is just opening up the.
If you didn't already fucking know, here's Frank.
Right. Okay. So, do you think if they didn't have that scene, because to me, I get it, I love over dramatizing. Is that how you say it? Over dramatizing. Sorry, I think that's the proper way. Over dramatizing and the bombastic and just the over the top. I really love that in movies if it's well done. I thought this one was pretty well done, but you could have had that left out and you still would have been like, this guy's a fucking lunatic. So. I don't know. Are you glad that it was in?
I guess this helped solidify and codify it for the audience.
That's true.
If anything else.
Did you ever sympathize with him? Was there any point
not from the
movie?
beginning?
He
no.
was the most. Then he's one of my favorite movie villains of all time because he was just so gross and disgusting, snarly. Remember the scene where
like when he was just like when he was eating?
And
Yeah.
He just looked like a gross
He's a fucking rat.
mother.
Yeah.
Just a gross dude.
Yeah.
That nobody would like. He.
So he was meant to be someone to hate.
Yeah.
Like
at one. If you found sympathy, we need to have a talk.
Julian, what were you gonna say?
Like there was a big part like when he was with Billy and they're like eating and he said like that line about like being able to learn a lot about a person by watching them eat.
Yeah.
It was just a really like. Is it the term like tongue in cheek? Just like I guess ironic or whatever. Like because like he's saying that as if he was trying to like get something out of Billy when that mainly we just learned a bunch about.
That's true.
Costello.
Yeah. Do you remember when they were eating at Costello's apartment and he was just eating like a pig, eating that?
Yeah. And he just pulls out that hand and just like it's like
you do learn a lot about people.
That's true. That's true. He's a fucking insane psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. The point of the citizen joke on the originally of the letter, I didn't catch the joke at all.
They don't know how to spell. And Will, remember when Mark Wahlberg said, you got a 1400 on your SATs, you're an astronaut, not a statey.
Yeah.
And so here comes Bill that, spells it right. And it's like, that's not how you fucking spell it or whatever.
Yeah.
That was just how Bill is just on a higher level intellectually than all these guys.
Oh, okay. So he can just spell
these guys are
right.
muscled up,
sure,
Irish junkies that are there to get money for Frank.
Okay, so that and like I get it. They're making fun of him because whatever, but I didn't know if there was any deeper meaning.
It served as making. It was basically just planting a really very easy to spot seed. Like both one that was very memorable to the audience because of the humor. It was just this guy because it was like we're like he totally spelled that right, but like that. Yeah, that, like it had enough emotion and stuff to make it really stick. So when you saw him on the desk, you immediately could tell that this is the piece.
This is the letter that
as opposed to just remembering all the social security and all the other details.
Right. I love the editing in this movie. It was
editing
quick, and you had to keep your eyes. It almost reminded me of Fight Club. Yeah. When they would just kind of show a flash of Brad Pitt or whatever, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss on something later. Yeah. I thought that was great.
I thought it was, and I noticed the cuts whenever DiCaprio was leaving for the first time, or he was packing up everything. I think after I don't remember why he was leaving, but he was packing up everything. He's packing his gun, his cash, his
it
clothes.
was after he got the phone call from Matt Damon.
Yeah.
Started freaking out.
I noticed the cuts, but like it just flowed very well. That I was just like, okay, it didn't take me out of it. I was just like.
Kind of symbolism for what's going on in his head.
That's true.
You've got it. I'm about to
It's
die. I've
fast.
Let's go.
Exactly. No, the editing was really good.
He won an Oscar for it. So.
Oh, for the editing?
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
I thought you said it got. Oh, and also best picture.
Best picture, best director, best editing, and best adapted screenplay.
Yeah. They did a good job of being able to communicate a lot of those time skips without really over like 3 weeks later type like to really make it flow into the whole thing.
That's true. Okay, so we mentioned it before, but the rat scene, whenever Jack Nicholson and DiCaprio, sorry, I'm like,
down eating
they're sitting at the restaurant or whatever. I don't know. I just thought again that just kind of gives you insight to like this guy's losing his shit, but
he's not though. At that point, he's really not, because he was on the right track,
right?
And it took Bill full emotional discipline, to try to convince him that it's somebody else, and it didn't even convince him.
That's true.
It let Frank get this plan to tell him, I got new guys working on the thing in Gloucester, and that's when Frank called Matt and was like, "You heard nothing about new guys, nothing about Gloucester.
Yeah.
It ain't Bill."
Right.
But that's one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Yeah.
You know the gun part where he pulls out the gun? That was all improvised.
Oh, really? He pulled the gun, looked at it, and everything.
He wasn't even supposed to have a gun there.
Oh, really?
Nope.
Yeah, I noticed. Like,
So yeah, it like fell out off like it was just on his lap. Like, why did you have that?
And then he fell and he pulled it.
So
he's just like,
DiCaprio, when he pulls out the gun, and DiCaprio just kind of leans back. That's
oh, that's true. That's a real reaction.
like, what the hell?
Okay, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like more around that. Like, which other you mentioned before? Like, we watched me that there were a couple other improvised scenes. Like,
Yeah, just the IRA motherfucker in my bar. That was one of them. He didn't have to
funny.
say IRA motherfucker.
That's funny.
What
What's
was
this
the other
IRA motherfucker doing in my bar?
one? Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other ones. Marky Mark did some improvising in the.
I'm sure he
in
did.
the very first speech that he gave to DiCaprio.
I'm sure.
Alec Baldwin did some improvising when he and Marky Mark were going back and forth in the meeting. How's your wife or how's your mother? She's tired from fucking my father.
Yeah,
all that stuff. And that was some of the other improvised stuff in the movie.
See, I like that because I feel like with some improvisation. Thank you. Some improvisation because it doesn't land, and I really think that, and for the most part, the improv was just the dialogue, right? It was no action other than the one, or I'm sure however many Jack Nicholson scenes, right? But mostly it was just like banter, back and forth banter. It's not just like I'm gonna do something different from what the directors wanted in the scene and changes whatever it is.
yeah,
So
that's always improv's really good for banter.
That's true.
Like it's supposed to be like natural, that type of thing. Like I do that a lot in my writing. That
just off the cuff, just
yeah, like because when you write dialogue between characters, like you don't want to overthink it at all. Like you just need to really know the characters really well, and they'll just do what they do naturally.
That's true.
And it just
I really liked just the dialogue overall. I think it was natural. It flowed. When someone was scared or someone was nervous, going back to the rat scene with DiCaprio, you could genuinely tell that he was holding back, about to fucking break down. Like, he was trying to keep it together. I think it was very apparent that, like, this was a do or die scene.
Yes.
Towards the end when Matt Damon started getting nervous about, like, okay, I'm going to get fucked, especially at the scene where what is his name? Jack Nicholson. Jesus Christ. I'm
Frank.
like fucking, yeah. Frank, he got shot and killed, and then Matt Damon's just like, do they know about me? Do they fucking know about me? Or whatever. Like, I can relate to that because it's like,
that'd be the first thing you
exactly
want
like
to make sure that you're okay.
And how he delivered it, it was almost like it didn't feel like it was written. It was just like, look, hey, did you rat? Or am I good? Am I good? And that it was essentially the equivalent of that scene. It wasn't like,
oh, Frank, are you okay?
yeah, oh, Frank, are you okay? Did blah blah blah, like some extended dialogue about how some reference about the FBI, blah blah blah. It was just like, dude, did you rat? No. All right, boom, you're dead. Like, whatever. So. I thought it was very natural, that conversation. And I know, because isn't it Scorsese and who are the directors that are known for their...
Quentin Tarantino,
that's
Scorsese.
Right. Just it's not like, it doesn't feel like a movie script. It just feels like a conversation that you can just have with your buddy across the street or whatever. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's actually confused on like a plot point. Like, I'm not sure why Colin killed... Costello.
I was a little confused on that too.
This is very anticlimactic. I think.
Well, I was. Go ahead.
I'm going to say what I think, and then you can say what you think, and then we'll explain it to Julian like he's 5. Just kidding. So I think at that point, Matt Damon just realized he was fucked, and so the tails were following him, and at that point, the captain was dead. Matt Damon had to make a decision of because I feel like he was already struggling with Frank, because Frank was doing his own shit and he was going on his own path. And so Matt Damon was like, okay, look, I have a thing here. No one knows I'm not made, I've got to, pull my cards closer to my chest. And so at that point, he knew that they were going to get caught. So he's going to ride on with the coattails of the police. And so when he found him, like, what the fuck else was he going to do? Like, he was going for Frank was going for the coke.
He was there to kill him.
Exactly.
That's why he drew his gun when it showed him in the moonlight getting ready and seeing all the carnage happening in front of him. That's when he pulled his gun. He was like, all right, I got to do this, because remember, he just got he almost got made when Captain Queenan got killed.
Yeah.
And that's when Marky Mark was like, you're the rat. That's when Marky Mark knew that, okay, this guy is the rat. And now I got to leave for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so he needed to do something to bounce back. And that the only way was he was fine. He was doing okay. Let's kill Costello and everything would be all right.
All right.
Yeah. And again, I feel like a lot of everything, and obviously this is just because it's such a great writing style. Everything was just because of a reaction. It was a constant, Costello might have had a long-term plan. He had a plan with the Chinese. He had a plan with the Coke. He had a plan for all that. But, DiCaprio and Marky Mark and the group and everyone there, they were just reacting to everything.
Right.
And
Like
so,
rats trying to survive.
Exactly. And so, when Costello's plan went unhinged, and honestly, I think it went unhinged. I think towards the end of it,
yeah,
he was just
lost
kind of
his
like,
fucking mind.
Yeah.
And that's when Matt Damon was like, you need to stay low.
Yeah.
You need to stay low.
Yeah,
and
no,
like,
he's just...
Fuck you, I'm not staying low.
Exactly.
I'm Frank Costello.
Right. And
pride comes before the fall.
That's true.
That's
What the pedophile priest says.
Oh, he did say that. Yeah,
he did. But yeah, I think at that point Matt was just like, all right, we're done. We're gonna fucking I'm gonna save face with everyone, and I'm gonna be the hero. I'm gonna take control of this situation. So, but
he's riding high.
Exactly. And so going to that point now that we're totally at the end of the movie, even though we didn't really any talk about plot devices to get to this point at the end of the movie. I thought his Frank Costello's death was so anticlimactic. I thought it was just like, and I get it, and you're right, but it would have been nicer to have, like, instead of, everything's just fucking, his whole foundation crumbles from below him, Frenchie kills himself, and everyone gets caught, and everyone dies, and then now he's just in some fucking vehicle construction site, and he just dies. And
look at what the point of this movie was. Frank was not the main character we were supposed to care about.
True.
The main plot was what's going to happen to Bill and Colin.
True.
And so Frank is just a stepping stone for us to know what happens to Bill and Colin.
Yeah.
It was just the conductor leading us, and the conductor went off track, but the rest of the trains kept going.
Necessary part of the structure for
That's true.
For the agents or whatever.
I think I get it, and it was
You
a
just
direction.
wish it was more of a Frank's dead.
Yeah, like
okay.
it was literally like he's dead. The phone was ringing or whatever, and then he picks up the phone. Matt Damon picks up the phone.
Talks to Gwen.
Yeah, he's dead. Frank's dead. Click. And that was it. I was just like, okay, like I get it. It's the direction. That's fine. I would have preferred like a shootout or something. Just like, motherfucker, you're not gonna take me alive or bleh, or something.
What do you mean? Frank's a 250-pound 70-year-old that
I don't know, man.
Honestly, I feel like it would have been weird if it was like really set up dramatically like that. Probably because like Costello wasn't the main center of things. It just didn't.
Right. But it looked like at this point where Costello's lost everything. He's obviously he trapped himself. He's in this ditch, and then here comes Matt Damon. As a police officer, I feel like he would have I think it would have been easier to just immediately start shooting and then having Matt Damon not know if he was made or not. And then that would have brought on the pressure of like, okay, I've got to lock down everything. Who knows what? Maybe try and find some contact somewhere.
Yeah, but then Bill at that point kind of becomes useless as a plot device. Because Bill is the one that makes Matt Damon freak out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm made now.
That's true.
And so that's why Colin asked him, hey, am I made? And when he finds out he wasn't, he's perfectly fine with killing Frank.
Yeah, like we don't want Frank to overshadow the actual climax.
That's true. I guess.
What did you think of that? Were you a little upset that Bill got killed?
Everybody fucking died.
I was kind of like, oh.
Yeah, it's
everybody fucking died. I was sad because I love Leonardo DiCaprio, so I would have liked to see his character make it to the end of the movie. But I get it. It's literally as soon as after Costello died, it was just a shit ton of pieces falling, and then just
they pulled out the last of the Jenga blocks. And
exactly.
The tower just came tumbling down.
It's all done. It's all over. And who's left? Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
That one was actually pretty. I think that was satisfying enough to make up for the elevator.
That's true.
It didn't make it up for me. I was still when I remember the first time I saw it with my dad. I was still sitting there like, yeah, but Bill, why did Leo have to die? Why? It's not that. No.
Yeah.
You could have just let him live and let him kill Matt Damon, but. No,
that's true because he was tortured the whole entire fucking movie.
The whole movie.
He was on edge constantly,
and Matt Damon
probably
still won.
technically,
Well, I mean,
He beat Bill.
Yeah, I was upset about that, and then when Matt Gunn was like, "Ha,
Yeah,
they did one after all."
it was
type
really
thing.
funny because I think, and for me, as soon as I saw, he was wearing the booties or whatever to prevent the.
Yeah, I
footsteps
thought
and stuff
that was
like
I thought that was the wife. Was like, is she like cleaning?
Oh.
What's going on here?
No,
it's
Marky
hello.
Mark, and he's gonna kill him. That's it. And I'm really glad
Vigilante
they didn't
justice.
say anything, right?
No,
I don't-
no. All Matt Damon said was, "Okay," and just
I'm really glad there was no dialogue. It was just purely Matt Damon was caught. He was, fucking. He gets it. That's it. And then Marky Mark's like, "You don't deserve any of my time." So
Yep.
I really enjoyed that ending.
yeah, and then the rat at the end. Just a little
That
touch
great?
for that.
Yeah, right. That was a little touch. Fucking rats. I'm trying to.
I don't. I still don't understand the whole thing about the state house. When he moved into the apartment, they showed it early when he was at the academy and all that stuff, like the giant golden dome on the building.
giant golden dome
Yeah,
surrounded by shit neighborhoods where crime is rampant.
Oh, that's true.
And Matt Damon can still see it, even though he's living in this nice upbeat apartment and he's upper class by next week. That's what the realtor said. And yet you have this scum
By
of
next
the
Tuesday.
Earth.
Just the whole rubbing
You have
shoulders
this scum
with.
of the earth that's living right there that can still see straight at that Capitol,
Interesting.
straight at that dome.
Because I thought for some reason, my thought was because they had set Matt Damon up some sort of sleeper cell type thing almost. I thought that it was my first thought was that it was going to be a sniper location for something really far
That's
in the
true.
future.
That's true.
For
That
some
would've been-
really drawn out plan that it seemed like
Nah, I
Nicholson
I think
had.
it's just Matt Damon had a really nice apartment in a really shitty area, and he had a perfect view of what he was trying to destroy.
Crime
Yeah.
never took its eyes off of what it was trying to do.
That's true. Crime always has an open eye towards the government. We're getting deep here, bro.
Yes, we are. The government is the crime.
Yo, all right. So the 21 gun salute. I'm stupid. What is that? Is it just a sign of
It's a-
respect? It's like a thing.
Yeah, it's a tradition for. Yeah,
I mean, what? Why do you shoot? Why do you have 7 people shoot 3 times? What does it signify? Why isn't just 21 people shoot 1 time?
you might have to Google that one.
Yeah. I
Oh, we don't know. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's just a tradition.
And is it only for military / cops?
I think it's only for military and police. I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't know. I don't know.
Because
You
the
don't
the whole
look that up for me?
it's the
I
whole
can,
dying
sure.
to
All
service.
right, please do, because
Yeah.
I was genuinely curious. I've never really I know of it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the military guy died. Now they're gonna do the salute, but I never understood the significance of it.
Yeah.
Most commonly recognized as the customary gun salutes that are performed by the firing of cannons or artillery as a military honor. The custom stems from naval tradition where a warship would fire its cannons harmlessly out to sea until all ammunition was spent to show it was disarmed, signifying the lack of hostile intent. As naval customs evolved, 21 guns came to be fired for heads of state or in exceptional circumstances for head of government, with the number decreasing with the rank of the recipient of the honor.
Oh,
While the 21 gun salute is most commonly recognized, the number of rounds fired in any given salute will vary depending on the condition. Circumstances affecting these variations include the particular occasion and, in the case of military and state funerals, the branch of service and the rank or office of the person to whom honors are being rendered.
okay. All right. So because he got
Remember,
21 bullets.
he got the Medal of Merit.
Yep. So you get the
so
full
he
got
21
like
bullets.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But yeah, so that was all I had for written down. Blake, I know you said something earlier. You were gonna remember it for later. You said you were gonna make a mental note, and I said, Blake, write it down. You're like,
No, we
I
already
got it
I was,
here.
I was like, he's gonna forget it, isn't he?
No,
was-
we already
what
talked
was-
about it.
Oh,
was it?
that's good. Okay.
It was the
I'm just curious now. What did you store mentally?
Was
it the X thing?
Mhm.
Oh well, we didn't talk about it on the podcast.
oh
I thought we did.
No, we
we
talked
talked
about it
about
right
it
before the
before, yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
All right, Blake, go ahead and tell everyone, what does the X's mean?
So in most Martin Scorsese movies, he kind of gives a clue as to what's going to happen, but you usually don't figure it out until after the movie is over. In Goodfellas, there was always classic rock playing, or no, that's not right. I forgot what the clue was in Goodfellas, but either way, in The Departed, there was a clue, and once you watch the movie, you should notice it, or if you don't, look it up. Anytime someone is about to be killed in The Departed, there is an X somewhere in the shot. So in the very first scene, or in the first 20 minutes of the movie, you see Frank and French kill a couple. If you look off in the distance and on the bridge over there, the bridge has X beams. And when Martin Sheen is falling down, You see X's and the windows. The X marks the spot for the departed. So anytime you see an X, someone is going to die. Spoiler.
Well, I mean, we kind of spoiled everything. So.
Yeah, but
that's true.
I think that was it.
Oh, okay, all right. I really like the music choice. It was good music. I mean, I think in Goodfellas it was a good music choice. I think has got all good music choice.
Yeah, Martin Scorsese's got some good taste in music.
He does. He has some good taste in music. Though he played the same Irish song like a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those
Shipping up to Boston.
Yeah.
But he also did "Gimme Shelter" a couple of times.
That is true. He did too. That's. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the impact of it. I don't know. It was a good song.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was good music.
I
kind of like the tango that Howard Shore would do, like the doom doom doom. Like it was like a real, like almost it kind of raised the stakes, or the music at least shows that the stakes are kind of raised in terms of a tango being a really fast and quick and kind of lethal kind of style of dancing, I guess you could say.
Bum, bum, bum. But yeah, that's really all I got, and we're actually about an hour, and that's.
Are we really?
Yeah, we're. Yeah, and I want to, moving forward, keep them roughly about an hour. Cool. Just because I think more people listen to them if they're an hour.
Cool. That's a good size for a
unfortunately,
podcast,
I hate that, but I want to go for like 8 hours, but I mean, I kind of have to sleep and people have to go home. But anyways, yeah, it's like, what time is it now?
It's 10:48.
Look at that. You see, we're busy, but we're still kicking it. Anyways, any closing thoughts or remarks on the movie or anything like that?
There's a reason why it was Martin Scorsese's only Best Director award.
Oh, really? Was it the only one?
The only one.
Okay.
So definitely check it out. It's worth seeing.
Julian?
Yeah, it was good.
All right.
Definitely check it out.
And the question that I ask, I guess, in every time towards the end of the podcast, would you watch it again?
Yes.
Julian?
Maybe, yeah.
All right.
On this one, yeah.
I will definitely watch it again. I'm going to watch it as soon as you guys leave. I'm going to steal your CD, Blake, and DVD. And
Don't do that.
Why?
Because I like my movies being at my home.
That's true. All right.
You can keep Whiplash here, if that's going to be the next. No, we're
well, because Evan's going to be here.
Okay.
Oh, well, I guess technically, yes, next week's going to have to be a quote-unquote lighthearted. We can watch the Ghostbusters movie next week.
Which one?
The all-female cast one.
I still haven't seen that
one. All right, well, we're not going to tell people what we're going to watch next week. Anyways, this has been the One More Movie Review. Really appreciate... I don't remember what the title of it is. Really appreciate everyone sticking it to the end. If you learned something, awesome. If you didn't, well, sucks. Just watch the movie. How long was the movie? It was like
It's 151 minutes.
So 2.5.
So 2.5-ish, yeah. 2.5 hours. That's not bad. I really like when movies are like 2.5 hours. I mean, 3 hours is a little pushing it, but like if it's like 2 hours or a little under 2 hours,
like 2:20 or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was a good solid. And honestly, okay, sorry, we're not done with the podcast just yet, people. I just want to bring this up one last thing. I thought it was enough to always keep me enthralled. So like, there's some movies where you just kind of like the plot is like, okay, this is important to the plot, but I think every single scene that Scorsese had in that movie was entertaining, and I was like, oh, I'm here. I'm like, because honestly, before watching this, I was deathly afraid that I was going to fall asleep because, as you know, Blake, I'm very
you're bad at that.
I'm prone to falling asleep, but and especially now because I had to wake up super early and I didn't have a lot of sleep. I'm probably running on 3 hours of sleep right now. But thank you. So I was afraid I was sitting in my bed and I was watching the movie, but every single scene I was just like, I'm in it, I'm here, I'm watching and I'm paying attention. Like I was just. It wasn't something that I got bored with, and I really appreciated that. It was really good, good direction, good flow, good pacing. Overall, solid remarks.
Good to hear.
We need to watch a movie that's like really critically acclaimed, but like we hate. I don't know what movie that's going to be, but we'll figure it out.
A few.
All right. Anyways, again, redo the closing sequence, I guess. Well, that's the end of the. Welcome back to the end of the podcast movie review. One more movie review. This has been way long drawn out. Appreciate it, guys. You guys have a wonderful night, morning, day, shit, work, anytime you're listening to this. All right, peace, guys. And that is it. All right, we are finished with the episode. Really hope you enjoyed it. Again, as I've said before, if you learned something, awesome. If not, well, too bad, but try again next time. I definitely assure you to try again. What was that old saying? Try again? Something like that. Anyways, back to Haven Cottage Investments. All right, people. I don't know how many times I've said it, but Haven Cottage is a great place to start for your future. All right, Sabrina Parker, she is fantastic. All right, I don't know how many times I can keep emphasizing it, but yeah, get in contact with her. All of that information is down below in the description. Again, if you mention the podcast, you get half off the commission rate. Look, if you just got questions, boom, go give her a call, give her an email, whatever it is. If you just want to have a conversation, see what you can do for your future, it's perfect, all right? You want to buy a home, rent a home, sell a home, lease a home, whatever it is, anything, yo, Haven Cottage Investments, that's the way to do it, all right? Again, all that information is down below. And, well, man, October's almost over. Well, have a great one, people, I guess, question mark. See you in November.